made a video in October of 2024 where I introduced my first photography project called Facades. Those of you who are newer to the channel likely don't even know that I've been working on this project, so I think it's a good time to reintroduce things, and we're a bit overdue for an update on my progress and kind of where I envision this project going in the future. So if you've been here since that first video, thank you so much for sticking around. And if you haven't seen the first video, I'm just going to link it somewhere above here if you want to check it out. But just to quickly summarize what this project is for those of you who don't know, it's pretty straightforward. I basically am putting together a body of work where I photograph interesting exterior facades of buildings. Sounds kind of boring when you put it that way, but anyways, now these types of photos are not unique to me. I didn't come up with this compositional approach. For me in the beginning, the works of Harry Grier and Raymond Depardon were really inspirational, and both of these photographers have taken photos in this manner, and something about them just kind of speaks to me, and it's just a way that I really enjoyed shooting, which felt very natural. And I was kind of shooting in this way before I even noticed the pattern, and I eventually decided to turn it into something more, something tangible that brought it all together. So for a while, I never really had an end goal or an idea of what I wanted this project to turn into in the future, because I just don't love thinking that far in advance, and I honestly just didn't know. I knew that I wanted to just kind of continue building this body of work, and over almost 2 years later, I've gotten to do that, and I've gotten to travel to different places and continue and just get better as a photographer. And recently I've just naturally been thinking about starting to put something together, and I have an idea for it, and I'm going to get to that a little bit later in the video. Okay, so I am in Brooklyn today, more specifically Williamsburg. This is a neighborhood that I come to a lot, that I've gotten a lot of facades over the past few years. So yeah, we're just going to kind of roam around here and maybe some neighboring neighborhoods. The light's kind of like in and out, but we're just going to work with what we got. So shooting on the A7 IV with the Sony 50mm f2.5G lens today. I've had this lens for a while and I don't use it as much as I'd like to, honestly. I use the 24-50 so often nowadays. But this is probably one of my favorite primes that I own, and I've beaten it up pretty bad over the years. It's not that bad, but yeah, now that I have this lens hood from Earth, hopefully it'll help me prevent any further damage to it. But yeah, I think 50 is like a really good focal length for the type of scenes, or most of the facades that I want to shoot in New York. Sometimes it is a little bit too tight depending on how narrow the streets are. Yeah, in terms of like what I want the facades to actually look like, I think 50 is really good for the kind of compression that I'm looking for, as well as being able to show a good amount of context in the scene. So yeah, just kind of roll with this and see what we can get today. That was cool. I did not expect that. That just came in like the last second. I really like this car. I wish there was just better light in this scene. I feel like when I'm in Manhattan, a lot of facades are kind of modern, and when they're not, 90% of the time there's a car in front of them, so it just kind of makes it really difficult to shoot. And I've had to revisit locations multiple times, and sometimes you just never really luck out. But I feel like here, the facades are a little bit more, there's a little bit more wear and character to them, so especially in really good light. So I took a photo of this facade right here about 3 years ago. I think it was 2023. And to this day, it's still one of my favorite facade shots, and just like photos that I've taken in New York in general. The light was a lot better at that time, but. All right, so I was just standing kind of like behind the fire hydrant that exploded. I was literally here like 20 minutes ago, and this was not on. But anyways, I was standing kind of right behind it, and a car just kind of like drove in full speed, and I don't know if you guys can see that, but mother got me. Today's one of those days where like the light is just not that great, so usually subjects in my frames will kind of elevate the frame a little bit. Like this one, for example, would be great if there was good light and a person in it, but even if there wasn't, a person in the frame, but there was still good light, I think it would look really good. But regardless, I'm gonna still take it. Looks like there's a girl walking through. That facade in front of me across the street is really cool, but that car is in the way. Actually, there's a guy sitting in the car, so hopefully he'll leave very shortly. This, for example, the street is just a little bit wider here, so I do have to get a little bit closer, but I'm just kind of waiting for that car to leave because I feel like this could be a good shot, and there's a decent amount of people kind of walking on the sidewalk over there, so I might wait around for another 5 or 10 minutes and hope I get lucky. Oh, there we go. Car just left. All right, this is the one. No, not the cars. Not the cars. All right, nice. Hell yeah. Might be my favorite of the day so far. This is a really cool one. I've already kind of taken the photo, but this facade is actually really interesting. There's a tree right above me, so there's like leaves kind of hanging down. And the building looks very like old and just has a lot of patina. So yeah, I already kind of took 2 photos that are gonna be tough to choose between. Yeah, very cool. Love the color of it as well. All right, once these cars move, I think this is an interesting facade, but it's kind of far away. This is where like an 85 would really benefit, but I'm just gonna shoot it at 50 and might have to crop in, but I'm gonna wait for these cars to get out me way. All right, let's go. There you go. Yeah, honk at him. No. Bruh. Well, there goes that. Yeah, that's the biggest problem. Cars. Jesus. Yeah, what he said. This place is so Polish. You just like, you have the Żywiec beer in the top, but there's just way too many cars. The thing is, I can speak Polish. I don't know if anybody knows that. So if someone were to start yelling at me in Polish, I could diffuse the situation. Actually, I kind of like this with like the woman standing. It's like not necessarily like the standard type of facade, but one thing I was like kind of debating internally was whether or not I would include vertical images in the finished product, because there are times where, you know, a vertical orientation photo kind of works a little bit better and cuts out like distracting elements of certain facades. So I think I've decided against it, and I don't even shoot vertical that much anymore to begin with, but there have been a few times where like there are certain photos I'm like, I would like to use as part of the project, but yeah, I think I'm just gonna stick to horizontal or landscape orientation. I feel like it just fits the theme a little bit better. So like, I almost thought that there would come a time where I would get like tired or bored of taking these types of photos. But then I kind of realized it's not really something where I need to like devote a specific time or day to actually shooting, because even when I'm out shooting and not really looking for these facades or anything like that, I'm still shooting them naturally because it's just part of how I see. And so in that regard, I've kind of like struggled to put an end cap on this project in any kind of way, because I don't think I'll ever actually finish or like stop shooting this way. It's just like part of my photography style. And so for me, it's always like difficult. It's like, am I gonna do a book? Am I gonna do a zine? It almost kind of like feels like ending the project in a way. And I know that's not necessarily the case, but in my head, that's just kind of how I've been envisioning it. But yeah, I think I'll always kind of be shooting like this. So that is kind of partially the reason why why I'm gonna put out the project in the way that I intend to, which I'll talk about at the end. But yeah, Before we continue on with the video, I just want to take a second to thank Earth for sponsoring today's video. I've been using Earth products for quite some time now, from their magnetic filters to their lens adapters, sling bags, and now most recently, their brand new lens hoods. And honestly, I never really use many of the lens hoods that I have because they're all so big, but this one that I have for my Sony 50mm G lens is really nicely built and minimal. This hood fits a handful of lenses for the Sony system, and Earth also makes hoods for the Leica Summicron 35 as well as the Fuji X100 series. They're super sleek, well built, and lightweight, and also allow you to keep a filter on the lens if your workflow requires it. Apart from these hoods, Earth also makes a lot of other high quality camera accessories, so if you want to check them out, you can head to the link in the description. A big thanks to Earth for sponsoring today's video. So I've been thinking about this for the past few months, and I've talked to some friends, and after doing a lot of internal deliberation, I think I finally decided how I want to share this project. I never wanted this project to be something that only lives on YouTube or on my website or on Instagram. I always wanted this to be something physical, something tangible, and so at the moment, my idea is to make Facades a series of physical photo zines. So each zine will be a collection of facades that I photographed over the span of several years, and each zine can be different in terms of how much time I actually devote to it, but I'll kind of play that by ear. And right now, my goal is to have the first zine out sometime in late 2027, and it'll be a collection of the facades that I photographed from 2023 all the way up to 2027, or mid to late 2027. And basically, as long as I have the energy and passion to continue making these zines and continue putting time into them, I think there will be one every few years, and that might be wishful thinking and anything can change at any given time, but at the moment, that is where I'm at. Now, there was a part of me that kind of debated holding off on releasing anything and then just continuing to work on this project, and then in 10 or 15 or 20 years, I would release a full book. But to me, a book almost signifies, the end of a chapter or the end of a project. And I know that's not necessarily the case, but to release a book with this project felt a little bit daunting because I feel like I would constantly be delaying it, knowing that I could, if I wait a little bit longer, maybe I could get, some better photos to put in it. So I think it makes way more sense to do a zine in spans of, every, 3 to 4 or 5 years, because it just gives me something to work towards. I've spoken about this in previous videos, but I think the standards for myself and my own work continue to get higher and higher every year, and I know that's not necessarily a healthy thing. Maybe it is, I don't know, depending on how you look at it, but I kind of want to be more selective of what I share, and when I do share something, I want it to be work that I'm proud of. And when I was thinking about doing a long-term book, it felt really daunting because I feel like there would be images that wouldn't make it into that book because in 10 to 15 years, my standards could be so different from what they are right now. And I know that that is the nature of making books and zines. There's a lot of photos that you grow to love over the course of your career as a photographer that might not even actually end up in the finished product. So I think for this project specifically, a zine every few years just makes more sense. It feels like a better representation of myself and my progression and travels as a photographer, and it just kind of feels like a better time capsule, which I really like. And it just feels like a little bit less pressure than a book. I also think that it will be a lot more accessible to you guys, and my goal is to be able to get this into as many hands as possible. So yeah, that is the current plan at the moment. I've already been kind of brainstorming, what I want them to kind of look like and the format and what I want to include in them, and most importantly, the images that I think I'm going to have in this first zine. But at the same time, I'm still about a year away, and I know that'll sneak up on me pretty quick. But that's another year of photographing and going to new places, so it's really exciting. So yeah, it kind of feels more real now that I'm telling you guys, but I think it'll be really cool to kind of see my work in a physical form that I can also share with you, because before this, I've barely printed any of my work. I've maybe printed 5 or 6 of my images, and I've also made like this one little zine for myself that just contained some of my favorite photos from 2024. So it'll be really nice to actually have something that has a lot of thought put into it, and I think it'll be a pretty big and nerve-wracking but exciting endeavor. I hope those of you who watched this video to the end will stick around and hopefully still be here in a year when I decide to, release this project. And the closer it'll get, I will be sharing more updates on the channel as well as in my newsletters. So if you want to stay updated, I'll leave the link for that in the description. Anyways, that is the end of this video. If you stuck around to the end, thank you so much. A big thanks to Earth for sponsoring this video. You guys can go check them out at the link in the description. New Lightroom presets coming in September. But yeah, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.